Hi, and welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Paul Steele from Bethlehem Church in Austin, Minnesota. The Bottom Line is our weekly summary of the previous Sunday's sermon, and we are currently in this sermon series called Come Follow Me, as we look at what it means to follow Jesus, what it means to be a disciple through the Gospel of Mark. That's one of the Mark's purposes for writing this biography of Jesus, is to tell us, to show us what it means to follow him. And so this past Sunday, we looked at Mark chapter 4, verses 1 through 20. And this is the first of three extended teaching times within the Gospel of Mark. And we know that Jesus often taught with parables. And this first parable that we look at, that Mark records, is a very familiar parable, one of Jesus's most famous parables, the parable of the sower, the parable of the soils, whatever you want to call it. And so here you have the farmer going out to plant seed, and he's sowing it, he's tossing it, and it lands on four different types of soil. It lands on the hard path, it lands on rocky ground, it lands on weedy ground, and it lands on fertile ground. And Jesus told this parable not just as a teaching to encourage us to do evangelism, to get out there and tell people about the good news, the gospel. No, Jesus really taught this parable because he's answering this question of why do some people reject him and other people respond to him? Why do some people respond like Peter and Andrew, James and John and Levi, who leave their life behind to follow Jesus? And why do other people respond like the Pharisees, who reject Jesus, or even Jesus's home family, who come to get Jesus and to bring him home because they thought he was crazy? So why do you have these different responses to following Jesus, to who Jesus is? And so Jesus says, well, some people have this barrier in their heart, and it's hard. It's this footpath, and their beliefs about who the Messiah is to be, their beliefs about God, that prevents the seed of the gospel from penetrating. And so Satan comes in and takes away that gospel, takes away the joy that they would have in being part of the kingdom. And others receive this good news, this gospel. But the barrier that they're facing is the barrier of expectations. And so they receive it with joy, but when things get difficult, when things get hard, they fall away because there's no root system to really sustain them through the difficulties of life. Then there's other people who receive it, but no fruit is produced, no transformation happens in their life because they're so concerned about the things of this world. And then there are those who receive it, and they're blessed by God, and their lives are transformed. There's a difference in their life. And so really it all comes down to what type of soil are we? And what determines what type of soil we are is whether or not we listen to Jesus. Jesus says, hey, listen. And he ends the parable with, those who have ears, let them hear. Let them understand. And so this word listen doesn't just mean to hear the words, it also means to obey. So to listen is to trust Jesus and to obey Jesus, to hear what he's saying, accept it, trust what he says is true, and then live it out in our lives. And that's how we become fertile soil, when we trust Jesus. And so our big idea from Sunday is this: to listen to the gospel means to trust Jesus. To listen to the gospel means to trust Jesus. It's not just to accept that the gospel is true, that the Bible is true, that God really exists. No, it's more than that. It's to trust Jesus. And that ends up affecting the way that we live our lives. And so our challenge is this. Our challenge is to continue to pray for those 3 people that need Jesus. We're going to continue on doing that. But this week, we're also going to read through the Sermon on the Mount and ask God to give us ears to hear what Jesus has to say. So the Sermon on the Mount is found in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. And just let that challenge our beliefs, our expectations, and all of that. Ask God to give us ears to hear what Jesus has to say. Hey, thank you for being part of Bethlehem. I want to encourage you to come and join us on Sunday mornings in person next to Ellis Middle School here in Austin. But if you can't join us, continue to join us here on Facebook and YouTube and at 10:30 on Sunday mornings. If you want to support the work that we're doing here, you can pray for us, pray for opportunities for us to share the gospel, and you can give. Go to our website, BethlehemChurchAustin.com, and follow the Give tab, give, so we can continue the work, the ministry we're doing here. If there's a prayer request that you'd like me to be praying about, send me a message. I'd be glad to add you to my prayer list. Thank you again for being part of Bethlehem. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and God bless.